So, I have a bit of a development for you. This is going to be a bit of a life update. Um, I recently went ahead and purchased Super Mario Party, and my brother was in town over the weekend, and we played it quite a bit. And it's a good thing that he was here because basically I couldn't read the in game text. I was sitting right in front of the TV, okay, and I couldn't read the in game text except for things like the dice blocks, which you can see here in the screenshot. Mario is holding one. But the numbers below that, I can't read that. And also the text that was widely spaced out in bold, I can read that. For instance, dice block I could see, but anything below that, not so much. Basically everything was a blur. And in the bottom quarter of the screen, where really, like, at least for me, it was like small font. And this was on a 48-inch TV now. But my brother had to read me the directions. So in this screenshot here, it shows this popcorn game. This was one of the mini games we ended up with. I didn't know it was popcorn. I thought that it was some sort of cheese puff. Okay? About a year ago, this wouldn't have happened. So, a week from this coming Friday, I see my retinal specialist, and we're going to see finally what ends up happening. It's really anybody's guess at this point. If I do have to have this laser treatment over the holidays, I would prefer to wait until after Christmas. But yeah, it's just crazy. And on top of that, next week I'll have had my original Fire TV stick for 4 years, okay? I've used this pretty much non-stop since I got it. It is now breaking down, big time. I've had this lose network connections more times than I can count. I've had this just completely... Earlier tonight it did what I call basically having diarrhea. And by this I mean, right in the middle of a video, it crashed. Okay? And so for the longest time, this has been very faithful to me. I've been able to get by with the screen reader on board, but it is 4 years old. The more updates it gets, the slower it seems to get. So I'm definitely looking at upgrading. And what I'll be replacing it with is the Apple TV, and I just don't know when. The Apple TV would allow me to have access to VoiceOver. It would allow me to have access to my Amazon content. It would probably allow me to have access to YouTube. I don't know. I don't know if there's a YouTube app for the Apple TV or not. But here's the interesting part. A couple of weeks ago, I went ahead and put up a video regarding what I suspect would happen during a supposed October Apple event, and at the time of this video, we still don't have any confirmation of such an event. It could be late October, early November. They could push it off till next year. But one of the things one of my subscribers commented on was how they haven't heard anything about the Apple TV, and neither have I. And in this case, this is getting to be very important for me, because in the Apple TV store, in the Apple Store, iTunes Store, they literally have videos that are marked with a square and AD. It's next to things like closed captioning and high definition underneath the movie poster. AD. What does that stand for? Audio description. I'm going to go ahead and give you an example of that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and switch on VoiceOver.
VoiceOver on Safari, accounts underscore 170,900.
So I'm going to head us over to an empty space.
Page, Finder, Desktop, PDF Documents, Stack. Desktop, Group. You are currently on a stack.
So I am going to open Spotlight.
Spotlight, System Dialog, CPU, Finder, Desktop, PDF Documents, Stack. You are currently on a stack.
And open up iTunes.
Describe movies table, no selection, has keyword focus.
Now I've got
To enter this table, press Control, Option, Shift, down arrow.
Now I've got described movies. So I'm going to go ahead and enter this table.
In described movies table, row 1 of 23, not low button, column 1, row 1, Aladdin, Scott Wiener, Robin Williams, Linda Larkin, Jonathan Freeman, Frank Welker, Gilbert Gottfried, Douglas Seal, column 2, row 1.
So let's go ahead and move down this table.
Press Control, Aladdin, the King of Thieves, column 2, row 2, Apollo 13, April 2nd, column 2, row 3. You are currently on a cell inside of a table. To navigate the cells within this table, press Control, Option, and then up arrow, down arrow, left arrow, or right arrow. To exit this table, press Control, Option, Shift, up arrow.
So I'm going to play just a few seconds of this just so you can get an idea of what it's like for those of you who have never experienced a described movie, what this is like. This particular collection of movies, by the way, does not come from iTunes. It comes from an alternative source. But the experience would basically be the same. It all depends on who they have describing it, who they put together as far as writing the description. You know, so here we go.
Blank. You are currently on a text field inside of a table. To navigate the cell within this table, press Control, Option, and then up arrow, down arrow, left arrow, or right arrow. To exit this table.
Now, in a black star-sprinkled sky, a dazzling sliver of sunlight crests the Earth. It disappears behind the spinning, watery blue planet as a golden word orbits into view. Universal.
Quit iTunes. Dialog. Podcasts are being downloaded. If you quit now, you will need to restart downloading the next time you use iTunes. Are you sure you want to quit? Dialog. Don't quit button. Podcasts are being downloaded. If you quit now, you will need to restart downloading the next time you use iTunes. Are you sure you want to quit? You are currently on the button. To click this button.
So I'm not going to quit this because apparently I do have audio descriptions downloading. So I'm going to go ahead and...
Now in iTunes window, text, blank.
But you get
text field inside of a table. To navigate the cell within this table, press Control, Option, and then up arrow, down arrow, left arrow, or right arrow. To exit this table, press Control, Option, Shift, up arrow.
But you get the idea. I'm going to switch VoiceOver back off.
Space with applications, VoiceOver off.
So you get the idea. That's basically what it's like to experience a movie completely with your ears, completely audibly. Now, as I said, iTunes has movies available that are audio described. Ready Player One is available audio described. But so far, that's the only one that I can remember off the top of my head. Audio described movies are kind of few and far between, which really surprises me. I've never experienced a described movie in the theaters, so I don't know how that's done. I don't know if the gentleman in the booth or lady in the booth would describe it to me as the movie is playing, or if they put down a separate audio track and run that through whatever device the theater might have. I've honestly never, like I said, I've never experienced that. But here's the way I look at it. It seems to me like if that separate audio track is being utilized, that should get transferred onto the DVD or the streaming service. And by doing this, it seems to me like every movie, at least new release these days, should be audio described. But I was looking in iTunes for one of my honestly favorite movies. I love romance and drama stuff. And one of the things that came up was Adrift. I loved that movie to pieces. It's about this young couple. It's actually based on a true story about this young couple who ended up getting lost at sea and trying to survive. It was just I thought it was a beautiful romance story. But the point is, I'm not critiquing the movie here. The point is, that movie, 2018, and it was not audio described, or it didn't have a described video component. In the United States, there is something called DVS, Described Video Service. I understand some cable companies have this, but the only TV channel to have it is PBS, at least as far as I know. There are some TV channels I'm sure that also have it, but you'd have to check your local listings. But as far as I know, PBS is the only one that routinely and regularly has it for a lot of its programming. But I think I may end up having to rely on that more often. I don't know. And also, I wanted to talk about something really quick in relation to a prior video regarding that video on the LED screens, the OLED screens being healthier for your eyes. I got a chance to finally read some of the comments in the article, and I did post an update to the video description, so if you have not seen that yet, please go look at it. But the short end of it is, I wanted to apologize because some people flat out were just ruthless in the comments dissecting that particular research, and I got to thinking about it, and I've decided that it really is a better idea to just wait, because I do need something. I've got 2 colors of iPhone XS and 3 colors of iPhone XR lined up, so I should definitely have something over the holidays, which is good because my Pixel's been basically, it's not a good situation for that phone. But all of this centers around one thing. My vision is slowly getting worse, and though the laser surgery may clear it up, and I do apologize for repeating myself, but there are some people, I'm sure, who may not have seen the prior videos. Though the laser surgery may clear it up, I don't know. I just don't know. My vision has been up and down over the last year, and I'd really rather be over-prepared rather than under-prepared. I've got an Apple Watch on my wish list this year. I've got a couple of accessories for the iPhone. I've got the iPhone itself. And all of this is centered around one goal. Give me a computing solution. Excuse me. My apologies. Give me a computing solution that works and works well with speech. Because there's genuinely no idea telling what the future brings, okay? It's like Enya's song, Only Time. This is very true. This is honestly very, very true in this case. When I noticed that I could no longer read the text in Mario Party, it reminded me of the time before my cataract, when it was starting to get really bad just before the procedure. And now I feel like here I am back again, you know. I genuinely do not know what's going to happen. And I am nervous. I am genuinely nervous. I am more than prepared for the consequences that lie ahead, yet at the same time... So here's the deal. I went ahead and looked up how this procedure actually works. They actually went on I found a step-by-step guide for the surgeons. And one of the things they talked about was the possibility of retinal tearing. And I also saw that the surgeons are instructed to warn the patients that they might see flashes. That's not a good sign in my book. I don't... Right after my cataract surgery, I must have accidentally rubbed my eye a little bit in my sleep because I saw a flash of lightning in my eye. I literally catapulted out of bed and started just hyperventilated for a few minutes. Then I got up out of bed, turned on my light, and wouldn't turn it back off for an hour. I went back into my bathroom, and I was so anxious. And turns out it was nothing. They say never rub your eyes, after a procedure, and seriously do pay attention to that, because of, you don't want something to happen. But basically, I've had 2 eye surgeries in my life, and I've had a retinal bleed. The retinal bleed in particular has left scarring, and there's no telling what could happen next. That's basically what is going on right now. Feel free to comment. Oh, one more thing. I'm thinking about possibly getting into Swift. And no, I'm not talking about the shipping company. I'm talking about the programming language. I have been practicing yoga and I've been practicing meditation. And both of these over the last 7 years has genuinely altered my perception on the universe. Lately, I've been compiling all of these into a collection of writings that I call Deep Thought. I'm thinking about turning that into a book. But what I would like to build is an app with the blind in mind that is a place where you can come and practice your yoga and you can partake. I'm thinking about sharing some of my views on the world, some of my philosophical viewpoints in this app through audio clips. And the reason I say that is because the app that I use right now, which is called Yoga Studio, the last time I remember using it with VoiceOver, it was pretty much accessible, but that could change at any instant, and there are graphic images that are not described at all. And I would like to take the approach of somebody who has never practiced yoga before and is entirely blind. And I would like to approach it from the perspective of somebody who would rely completely on tactile sensation and be able to, have them feel more welcoming to the practice. Now, there are going to be and the reason I say this is because there are those out there who may have had vision prior to this and may have never practiced yoga, and some of their friends will be like, well, yoga is a wonderful thing to basically make you feel at ease with yourself. And some people might be saying, oh my gosh, well, I can no longer see, so how am I supposed to practice because I can't see what the teacher's doing? That's where my idea comes in. And I don't know, there might be something out there like this. If there is, I would be happy to talk to the developer and maybe add to it. Yeah. That's basically where I'm headed. Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day.